Yo, what is good, everybody? It is KJ and I am back, and this is going to be a quick draft analysis of the team that I drafted in the INT. So shout out to Cahoots and all of the other admins there for inviting me to INT. There is a stacked lineup of 12 coaches. I am super excited to be a part of this, and yeah, it's going to be really fun. I'm really excited. I've played some of these coaches in the past, and obviously just know some of them because they're very good content creators. And there's also some folks that are new to the Pokemon content creation space. So really excited to jump in. But I'm going to get into my team really quick. So I had picked 8. So I was really worried because I was like, okay, there's some pretty broken stuff allowed, stuff like Blaziken speed boost and Deoxys speed and some different things like that. But I was like, you know what? There's enough mons on the board that I will get something really good, especially with there only being 12 coaches. However, my first pick, Great Tusk, was on the board, and we'll see by the end of the season if I regret. Ended up getting Iron Boulder. So new toy syndrome, definitely, but honestly, this mon just sets up things really well with a really good speed tier and incredible breaking power, incredible power to potentially sweep if I get like a booster energy speed boost and then just kind of get an SD up or something like that and just go ham. So Iron Boulder was a mon that I wanted to draft in PDD, but I didn't get the chance to. So the fact that we were able to get it in INT is super hype. This mon is absolutely incredible, and having access to a 100% accurate rock move is like mind-boggling. So I'm really excited to use this. And that said, with my next pick, there were still some things on the board. I could have doubled up on like psychic types. There were a couple of good psychic types on the board. I know I also could have grabbed something like Victreebel, but I didn't really want something like that. So I did end up grabbing a mon that I have some familiarity with, and I do really enjoy it. It did get some stuff back in DLC2, and that is T. So T, again, a really fast mon, has a pretty much broken ability in Regenerator. Regenerator is one of the best abilities in all of Pokemon, and with T and Iron Boulder, I figured, okay, my speed is really good. Torn got access to knockoff again. It got access to Sludge Wave, so it can do a lot of the things it wants to do. It's still going to be more of an offensive mon just because of the fact that it doesn't have Roost or Defog or even Toxic for some of the more defensive sets. But honestly, T is still a really good mon, and I did have some success in Gen 8, albeit Nat Dex, but with a core of Terrakion T. So honestly, not having to worry about missing stone edges is going to be really nice. So there is that. But yeah, with this next pick, I really wanted to get a mon that covered some more of the weaknesses and also things that Iron Boulder doesn't really want to deal with. And so I actually scooped up Urrapid. This is a mon that always bodies me. Like, if you guys have seen me play this in pretty much any league that I've been in, I always struggle with this mon. So having it on my team is going to be really nice. Having it there to be able to deal with like the ground types that Boulder doesn't necessarily want to deal with, or dealing with even being able to come in on some of the water types that Boulder doesn't necessarily want to deal with, and being able to effectively just set up on those and be able to just hit them as long as they don't have something like Scald or didn't get Scald back or whatever. But yeah, Urrapid I think is going to be just really, really solid for this team. And now I'm looking and I'm like, okay, this team is like really, really offensive. We've got Boulder, we've got T, we've got Urrapid. I need to get some bulk, and ideally a ground resist would be nice. I know we have the immunity with T, but I wanted a ground resist. I wanted a good grass type. I had considered something like Ogerpon, but I'd used Ogerpon in PPL Flare, so I wanted to kind of give a new mon a try, and that was when I noticed that Hydrael was still on the board. So Hydrael is going to do a couple of things for this team. It creates a Regenerator core with the T, which is really nice. Again, it gives me a very, very good ground resist, and it has sneaky, like, the bulk. I wouldn't even say sneaky bulk. It's just, this thing is super bulky and has pretty good special attack too, like pretty dang good special attack. So it's going to be hitting hard. And because this was a live draft, I was asked if like how many Fickle Beam boosts I'll be getting, because the way that Fickle Beam works, it's like a 30% chance to double in power. And honestly, as long as I'm hitting my Hurricanes, it is what it is. Like the Fickle Beams, we're not as concerned about. It's more about the Hurricane hits. Like if we can hit Hurricanes, we'll be in a great spot. So looking at this team now, I was really worried about hazards. So hazard removal as well as setting hazards. So Iron Boulder, unfortunately, is a rock type that does not get stealth rocks. That is really unfortunate. Torrentee is a flying type that does not get defog. Very unfortunate. So I really was going to have to kind of reach into some other different places to figure out exactly what I was going to do for hazards. However, I was talking to the homies Kiloboom and Onesie Bennett, and they were like, or I think Killua specifically was like, yo, you said you wanted an offensive ground. Why not get this Mon? And I was like, you know what? This Mon actually fits a lot of the things I want to do. So we grabbed Excadrill. So Drill is back with DLC2, and Drill is both a very good hazard setter, has access to rocks. It is also a very good spinner. And so it kind of solves both of those problems for now, as well as just being a really strong Mon, has access to both Sand Rush and Sand Force. So that is really nice if I do opt to go that route later on. And 135 base attack, it just hits really hard. It has access to pretty much everything it needs to with its dual stabs and rock coverage. So I'm not really worried on that front too much. And another really nice thing about Drill is that if I don't go the sand option, it also has Mold Breaker. So it's going to be hitting those levitating Mons that are weak to it. It can also set rocks on Magic Bounce Mons. So that's just really nice utility to have. And yeah, I think Drill just fit the team really well. So at this point, I was really like, I should start looking for some cheaper options of things. And there was a joke going around in the draft because multiple people kept saying like, oh, I'm going to go for cheaper options. And then everybody just kept taking higher point Mons. But honestly, there was still a good amount of higher point Mons even at the end of the draft. Like even now, looking at the board, there's still a ton of really good high point Mons. But yeah, so the next Mon I took was a lower point Mon, but it was still, I think it was like 8 or 9 points. And that is going to be Weezing Galler. So it's another Mon that I actually had on the team with Torrentee and Terrakion, and it just kind of worked really well. It works well as a removal option. It really very nicely checks a lot of the defense or the physically offensive threats. So that is really nice. And looking at the team, I needed a good fighting resist, like something that obviously wasn't weak to rock, because honestly, looking at my potential fighting resists, we've got Torrentee, but a lot of fighting types get rock moves. So I was like, you know what? Weezing Galler fits really well. It's a 4x fighting resist, which is really nice. It does have the ability to run the Misty Terrain as well to kind of like make sure that stuff like Urshifu and Iron Boulder aren't necessarily getting like Will-O-Wisp or burned or anything like that. So that's really nice. And also Neutralizing Gas is just a really good ability. Like it has 3 good abilities with Levitate, Neutralizing Gas, and Misty Surge. So Weezing Galler, something I'm very familiar with, something I'm very comfortable with. So that's what I wanted to go with. And honestly, I'm really excited to have this thing again. Next, I was looking at the team, and the speed tiers are pretty good. We have obviously a 124 and a 121. And then we've got a 97 and an 88. And I was thinking, okay, I wasn't really considering sand at this point. I was thinking, I don't really need sand. But I was thinking, so that wasn't necessarily a form of speed control that I was looking at. But I was thinking, you know what would go really good here? Webs. So I grabbed one of my favorite Mons, and that is Victreebel. This Mon is incredible. I love this Mon. I've used it multiple times. I've loved every time I've used it. It is unfortunate that I do now have a electric type that is not going to resist flying. Like flying coverage, like flying spam looks really good into my team right now. I mean, obviously I have Drill and Boulder, but flying spam looks really good into my team. So that's something that I was thinking about, and like I kind of need to clear this up soon. But Victreebel is just really good. I mean, 145 base special attack is just fantastic. It's going to hit super hard. Obviously, there's going to be some mons that are going to be able to kind of sit on it because it does have limited coverage, but I think Victreebel in general is just a really solid mon, and the fact that it has webs and can also just pressure offensively, super great. And it's also a slow pivot into a lot faster mons. So next, I really wanted to get Hazard somewhere, and I wanted to fill the speed gap between Torn and Shifu. And so I decided to get that in one mon and go with Frostlass. And I actually am really interested in using this again because Frostlass got two things back. It got Triple Axle back and it got Poltergeist back. So now the physically offensive sets, even though it's coming off of base 80 attack, still pretty good. Like, those are two high base power moves. So I was really excited about that. And then being able to also run specially, also have utility sets, stuff like Destiny Bond, Spikes, etc., etc. I think it's going to be really good. Frostlass is a mon that I've actually never used before in draft. So with 3 picks left, I had, I think, like 20 points or something like that. I think it was like 23 points or something like that. And you look at the team, and I'm missing 2 very crucial types in my opinion, because I don't have a fire type or a dark type. Now, the fire type is really important to me because I really want a fairy resist, especially with Excadrill being my steel. And I feel like I really need that. I need another fairy resist because there are a lot of really strong fairies now. Like, a lot of fairies came back, and so that's something that I really need to make sure that I prioritize. And then second, a dark type is just good because you don't want a lot of the various psychic types being able to set up like and do like stored power shenanigans or anything like that. So I was really kind of weighing on this for a while. And again, I was talking to Onesie Bennett, and he was like, yo, you could get something that would help in both sort of aspects of the things that you're looking for, a really good dark type, as well as something that would help your team overall from like a speed control utility wise. So that was something I was considering, but pre-draft, we actually had a conversation, a couple of the coaches, about mascot picks. And yo, shout out to JV, because he actually was the one that reminded me that my mascot actually got a very good move back. So we actually went with the mascot pick because I realized I didn't have a normal type, and with Spectre running around, I wanted to make sure I had a normal type. And that is going to be Indi. So actually, Indi is going to be a Terra captain as well. So Indi is going to be Terra Psychic, Fairy, and Fire. And I've only used Indi in draft once. Indi is a mon that I really like. I've only gotten to use it once in draft, and it's just a really cool mon. So it has some good utility, and it got Expanding Force back. At least the male version of Indi got Expanding Force back. Unless I'm memeing, I will never be using the other Indi. Like, I will only be using the Indi that can expand. So getting Expanding Force back is massive. Indi is going to be really crucial to this team. And honestly, looking at it, it's like Indi setting terrain for then Boulder to be able to click psychic moves is going to be awesome. Like, we have like a mini Psy Spam type core almost. So really excited about that. The one thing I will have to make sure I keep an eye out for is that Indi's terrain will block things like Aqua Jet on the Urshifu Rapid. So that's something I'll have to play around, but I am playing around my own terrain, so that's fine in my opinion. And yeah, I'm really excited. I'm really excited to be able to use Indi again. It's going to be a good time. I've never used Indi in Wi-Fi, so I'm pretty excited about that. So next, I decided to listen to the plan that Onesie Bennett had said, and so we are rolling with the Tyranitar. So T-Tar is a mon that I've used in the past. Well, I guess I used Mega T-Tar, and I wasn't the biggest fan. However, Mega T-Tar is, Mega T-Tar. So I'm looking forward to using regular T-Tar because this thing is, super bulky, and it does quite a few things for my team. The most important thing, I think, is the sand, because looking at my team, you see, okay, we've got Iron Boulder, which now gets a Spadef boost whenever there's sand up, which is fantastic, because now that means I can sort of invest in things a little bit differently. This also gives me a speed control option with Excadrill because of Sand Rush. So I wasn't planning on taking T-Tar, but honestly, I think it was one of, if not the best dark type available. I was at first looking at something like Ting-Lu, because I did really like using Ting-Lu when I did use it, but honestly, T-Tar is just going to be great. I think this is going to be a really good fit. And then the last, but certainly not least, Mon is actually a Mon I'm going to be running it back with. So I was looking at a couple of different fire types, and I was thinking like, oh, okay, so my options are like Houndoom or Crocolore, like, and it was fine because this Mon can Terra regardless, right? But I wanted to make sure also that I was using as much of the Terra budget as possible. So the way that the Terra budget worked, it was like we got 20 points, and the Mons were tiered separately for each of the Terra values. And so I was like, you know what? I'll go with the Mon that can Terra and use it the most effectively, and that is going to be Flareon. So I'm running it back with Flareon. Obviously, I had Flareon in PDD Season 1, and Flareon is a Mon that I really want to make work. So if I can't make it work here, I'll probably never draft Flareon again. But with Fire, Normal, and Grass, I think it covers its weaknesses. It also allows it to be a bit more offensive. And this is another Mon that I'll have to make sure that I am careful with the Psychic Terrain because of its ability to potentially quick attack with Terra Normal with Guts Boost. So this is the squad. I'm really excited to use this team, to build with this team. It looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. Obviously, week 1 is going to be coming out next Sunday. Let me know what y'all think in the comments. And yeah, it's going to be a good time. I'll leave all the coaches and everything in the description for this video. And I will catch y'all for week 1, hopefully. So thank you, everybody. Take it easy.